On behalf of SolarWinds and CARAHCAST, we would like to welcome you to today's podcast, focused around using Service Desk to speed up ticket resolution times, where Scott Pross, Vice President of Monalytic, a SolarWinds company, will discuss real-world solutions utilizing the Service Desk application.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to using Service Desk to speed up the ticket resolution times. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Scott Pross. I'm the Vice President of Technology for Monalytic. I've been doing SolarWinds for about 16 years now. I learned it when I had to build a NOC from the ground up for a billion-dollar company. We had a 99.99% customer-facing SLA. That gave me 4 minutes and 37 seconds of downtime a month for 33,000 devices. So as you might imagine, you'd get pretty good with it when you had that kind of pressure on you. That said, obviously we had a lot of tickets that came in during that time, and we had to deal with those tickets. And we used various ticketing systems throughout that period. And we came up with a process to really help us succeed and really get to minimizing our SLA, or what we used to refer to as our MTTR, mean time to resolution. So as we were discussing that, we kind of put some pen to paper here and came up with how can we help you guys that are going to be the specific techniques that you can do to minimize the amount of iterations that you have to go through to close a ticket. So that was really the real purpose here. So we're going to talk about the iteration issue. So I'm curious to find out from people, are you guys actually utilizing SLAs? As a NOC manager, I used to hate them because, you either met them and for me, my bonus was tied to them, or you didn't meet them. And, it was people started questioning whether or not you were in the right position if that happens. We usually met ours, but I learned to really appreciate SLAs because they not only held me to a standard and my team to a standard, but it also helped to hold the other team to a standard, my other teams to a standard as well. And so that became very important. And I'm seeing that most of you actually do utilize those. So let's talk about what is the iteration issue? What is it that we're trying to solve here? So iterations are really bad for the ticketing process for multiple reasons. And some of these are obvious and some of these might be a little bit less obvious as we go through them. First of all, it's obviously going to take longer to close a ticket. Like it or not, our job, handling a ticket flow and handling tickets that come in is really tied to two things: how quickly it gets closed and what quality, information do we provide back to resolve the issue. Because if you don't resolve it, it doesn't matter how quickly you do it. And if you do resolve it, but it takes an inordinate amount of time, that causes a huge problem in itself, and it causes frustration from the side of the customer. The second piece of this is it creates, iterations create a perception that support doesn't have the proper expertise with the product. When you call up, a lot of times as a customer, you expect a direct answer. You expect them to be aware of it. You expect them to know where to go to look for it. It's an expectation that we actually have, when you open up a ticket with a vendor. If you're opening up a ticket for somebody to solve your problem of a hardware or software problem on your network, you expect that person has the expertise. And the more iterations you go through, the less feeling of security that end user or that customer has, because the iterations tend to say that they don't know what they're looking for or they don't know how to find it. So by cutting down on simple iterations, we can allow for when we do need those iterations and when they actually count, when we actually have to get more information, we can utilize those, because you're always going to have some iterations. You're never going to get rid of all of them. But if we can minimize the iterations on less important parts of the workflow and concentrate on when we really need them, it's kind of like using, you might be given a get out of jail free card in Monopoly. You only want to use that when you absolutely need it. If you're capable of maybe paying the $50 to get out of there, you may do that instead. So we want to use those iterations very sparingly when we absolutely need them. And then finally, users and customers may attempt less than perfect self-help strategies. And I'm guilty of this too. I was having an issue and my vendor wasn't getting back to me suddenly I started to look for my own workarounds. Do I have other tools in play that can help me solve this problem without having to deal with the vendor? Because the vendor wasn't able to answer, my question.